Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us to our today's webinar on Power BI, FAQ and Agent Analytics. This is a continuation of our last webinar where we covered HelpShift Dashboard and Power BI Support Analytics Template app. I'm Shalini Mishra, a Customer Success Associate at HelpShift, and I will be leading today's presentation and Q&A session for you. A couple of housekeeping items before we begin. This is a 20-minute webinar, excluding a 10-minute live Q&A. In order to give our audience a seamless webinar experience and keeping in mind the fact that Power BI consists large data sets for analytics, sharing a live Power BI experience might disturb the presentation flow. I have pre-recorded the presentation, which we will be going through together. And towards the end, I'll be coming up for live Q&A. So feel free to put in all your questions in the Q&A box below, and I'll answer all your questions in the same panel throughout the webinar, or would answer them in the Q&A session at the end. Please note that this webinar is also being recorded and will be available on demand to watch. Firstly, we'll have a quick recap of our last Power BI Support Analytics webinar. We will then move on to FAQ Analytics in Power BI, where we will have an overview of the filters and metrics present in the FAQ dashboard. We'll then talk about different aspects of FAQ performance, measuring and analyzing how effective an FAQ is. And lastly, talking about segmenting FAQs, where we will discuss best practices to filter FAQs effectively based on our requirements. Moving on to our second discussion topic, which is Agents Analytics in Power BI. Same as before, we would have an overview of the dashboard, different filters and related metrics available, assessing agents' performance, comparing an agent's performance metrics with the team or teams, different agents metrics trend, and lastly, best practices around measuring agents and team workload distribution. With this, let's get started. Here is a quick recap of our last webinar. In order to use Power BI, there are two prerequisites. One is you need to have Power BI feature enabled in your HelpShift contract. If you don't have it yet and want to have a trial or use it, please reach out to your respective customer success manager and they will be able to guide you better. Second requirement is to purchase a Power BI Pro license account directly from Microsoft. Please note that you need to have both the conditions met in order to start using Power BI. Once you get it enabled, here are a few steps to implement and connect your data to the Power BI template app. Sign in into your HelpShift dashboard, then move to Analytics and go to Power BI. You'll find a link to sign up for Power BI. Select the HelpShift template app you want to use and connect your data using your HelpShift username from the dashboard. I have also linked in a detailed knowledge base article to help you with the implementation of Power BI template apps here. There are 4 different template apps from HelpShift in Power BI. In the last webinar, we have covered support analytics in great detail. In this webinar, we'll be discussing about FAQ analytics and agent analytics. And in the next quarter, we'll have a deep discussion about bots analytics in Power BI. Moving on to our first topic of discussion, which is FAQ analytics. When you first install FAQ analytics template app in Power BI, this is the dashboard you will see. There are a couple of filters on the left panel, which you can use to analyze your data and different metrics. Filters which you can leverage are here. You can have and set in a date, period, or time period. You can select different or one app. You can select your different platforms, all your different available languages. You can select FAQ sections as a whole, or even you can select individual FAQs and see their metrics on the graphs on the right-hand side. Let me give you a scenario. One of the common questions we CSMs receive is, someone wants to understand how their recently implemented FAQ is performing in different, let's say, top 5 languages, which they have published in. A simple solution to this would be, you select the FAQ you want to measure and analyze in the dashboard. You can select it from the drop down here, and you can go on to the right-hand side graph here, where it will give you all the detailed numbers of FAQ views by different languages which you have published your FAQs in. You can also expand this graph and look into detailed numbers for all your different languages. How do I see specific FAQs and deflection associated? In order to get into this, first step is to apply relevant filters from the left panel and select the FAQ you want to analyze from FAQ title filter. Now you can leverage successful and failed deflection graph, which will give you deflection numbers for your selected FAQ. You can also look at deflection percentage by FAQ section and consider deflection percentage of the FAQ by different languages they are published in. Apart from this, the first graph is really interesting. This graph gives you percentage issues created without your end users viewing these FAQs. The lower the percentage, the better will be the FAQ performance. So keep an eye out for this graph and metrics. This dashboard gives you all the same metrics we have seen in the last FAQ slides. Only it gives you detailed number per every single FAQ. You can apply all the relevant filters, and once done, these metrics can change the FAQ performance game altogether. These metrics are FAQ likes, dislikes, successful and failed deflection, and lastly, last FAQ updated date. One of the most common best practices of this dashboard is to use last FAQ updated metrics. Using this, you can make sure to keep editing and adding useful content to your old FAQs. So your FAQ content is refreshed, which in turn will result in better user experience, thus giving you higher FAQ deflection. I have also mentioned the best practices of this dashboard on the same slide, which you would receive after the webinar. What are a few most common search terms in FAQs? This dashboard gives you the answer to this question through multiple graphs. On the right-hand side, you can find a word cloud, which gives you the relevant data. Here, the size of the word cloud means the number of times this word was searched for as compared to the other words. One important note here is that this chart gives you the word data for only the last 15 days. If you're curious to know the reason, drop me a question in the Q&A box below, and I'll be happy to answer you. The same word data can be figured out from the bottom left data sheet, including the ones and the dates of those search terms and all the relevant metrics. The top graph gives you detailed analysis of the number of times an FAQ was successfully populated when the relevant word was searched for, including the number of failures and no results. So this was all about Power BI FAQ analytics. Moving on to our agents analytics dashboard. In the next few slides, we will be going through different metrics for your agents and team analytics. The first most common question we get from our customers is, what is the difference between an agent being online and an agent being available? So online presence is defined as when the agent is just logged into their HelpShift dashboard, whereas availability is determined by a combination of your auto assignment settings and your agent availability settings. In simple terms, an agent is considered to be available when they turn on the toggle option in their HelpChef dashboard and when the issues start getting auto-assigned to them based on their availability. This metric is useful for evaluating productivity and tracking billable hours. You can also look at other metrics such as issue assigns versus resolve, along with outbound messages sent by agents to get into more details. Detailed individual agent metrics. This table gives you the complete summary of individual agent performance and relevant metrics. A few common best practices from this dashboard could be to look at difference in online and available hours of the agents. If the difference is significant, you may want to reach out to your agents and see how it might be affecting your entire team's performance. You can also leverage agents' holding time metrics to understand individual and the entire team's performance. Reopen rate and accepted solution is subject to usage. If you have them enabled in the dashboard, then you can leverage these metrics to figure out how your reopen rate and accepted solution differ from agent to agent. How to figure out which agents are contributing most towards your SLAs. In order to answer this question in different ways, you can use this report or dashboard. This report features trends in agents' performance by averages, including average time to first response, CSAT, acceptance rate, and reopen rates. You can use this report to monitor team and individual agent performance over time by switching between daily, half-hourly, weekly trends using the different options on the top left of each visual and graph. You can also spot opportunities for improvement if an agent CSAT, acceptance, or reopen rates change. A few metrics to look at would be average time to first response, CSAT, acceptance rate, and so on. How do you compare individual agent metrics with respect to the team or team's performance? You can select the agent or team you want to compare with the overall team numbers. Once you have applied the filters, the value in greens would give you your agent metrics number, and the one in black would give you the entire team's number to compare with the agent metrics and value. This report contains many valuable metrics for evaluating your team's activity, quality of support, and efficiency. This report also allows you to easily compare agents' performance to the entire team's performance. A few important metrics to look at would be total available hours, issue assigns, individual CSAT with respect to the entire team, FCR rate, issue resolves, and so on. Agent or team workload analysis. Modern world of digital customer service, though it's crucial to protect your agents from handling so many cases at once that they become overloaded. At the same time, it is also useful to adjust the workload of any agent who has ample capacity for more. Understanding how many issues your agents can handle per day is the key to optimizing team loads and capacity. This report helps you do the same. The online with assigned issues measure the percentage of one agent's or one's team workday that includes open issue assignments for the specified date range. This also limits its consideration to only the subset of your agents who are online. Likewise, the marked available with assigned issues measures the percentage of one agent's or one's team workday that includes open issue assignments. However, this further limits its consideration to only the subset of your agents who A, are online, B, are logged in, and C, have marked themselves available to take on additional work. The agent workload by Mormon counts one agent's or team's typical and time-weighted number of active conversations, meaning open and assigned issues at any one time across the date range you have specified. It's time-weighted in the sense that it considers the average duration over which any open and assigned issue remains unresolved. The work ongoing or resolved measures one agent's average response rate counted in unique issues per half hour across date range that you specify. Yet alone, these metrics of workload is not sufficient to determine the ideal capacity of an agent or a team. Performance metrics like CSAT, time to first response, total time to resolve, help you measure the quality of work performed given the workload. When the performance falls short, one reason could be an increasing workload due to the number of issues assigned for their complexity. So you can use this dashboard to actually analyze the workload your team has been handling, including your individual agents if you want to look at it, and compare them to the overall team numbers on an average, marked in green and black respectively. A few of the best practices have been included on this slide. And once this is done, we will be sharing the recording of the webinar with you along with the slide so that you can use it for your reference later as well. So that was all about the presentation of Power BI, FAQ, and Agent Analytics. We'll be moving on to the Q&A round. Guys, you can ask to talk if you have any questions, and I'm here to help you answer all your questions about Power BI. You can ask any questions related to Power BI, not just restricted to FAQ and Agents Analytics. So let me know. I also would like to know the feedback, if this was helpful, if you would like to continue getting the same materials in the follow-up emails as the slide decks or short webinars like this. And I'll be happy to generate more content for you in the coming up quarters. So I'll be here. You can also punch in your questions in the Q&A panel, or you can ask to talk and I can allow and we can have a discussion about any questions you have. Since I'm still hoping if anyone has any questions, and in the meantime, I would really like to tell you one important stuff. If I believe all our attendees might be using Power BI already, but those are really amazing. Like the metrics are really great. And if you want to explore more, do leverage our knowledge base articles in the support website on HelpShift. And if you still want to know more, let me know or let your CSM know. And we can share a couple of more best practices along, not specific to FAQ or agents, but bots, analytics template app, or even support analytics template app. And I'm going to wait for another minute. And if we don't have any questions, I would end the webinar. And yeah. All right, since I think we don't have any questions, eventually, if you do come up with any, you can reach out to me on shalini@helpshift.com, or you can reach out to your CSM and we'll be happy to help you with any questions you have. After the webinar ends, you would receive a follow-up email with the presentation deck, which you can refer to if you have any questions or even for your reference in future related to Power BI, FAQ, and agents analytics specifically. And in the next quarter, I would come up with bots analytics, which is going to be more than around 20 minutes. It's going to be a great discussion. So do join us in next quarter again. And thank you for joining, everyone. It was great hosting you all on this webinar. Thank you.